Welcome back, everybody, to the Voices for Blogging podcast, where we have faces for radio and voices for blogging. You can find us on the Podbean app, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else you find your podcasts. You can also find us on Instagram at Voices for Blogging. Drop us a DM anytime you want. We'll be happy to hear from you. As always, I'm here in Honolulu, Hawaii. And over in Los Angeles is my old friend Royce. Royce, how you doing?
What's up?
Here we go again with another very long hiatus from our last episode.
Yeah, what happened?
I don't know. I who knows? You know, time flies when things reopen.
Yeah, catch us up on all the things that you've been doing since then.
Oh my goodness. Oh man, things have been great. I mean, you know, this week a couple of our students from our massage school, our medical massage school, just sat for the state exam to become licensed massage therapists here in Hawaii. And both of them had good feedback about how they think the test may have went. So I'll find out in a week. But there's just a bunch going on, man, here in Hawaii. I mean, there's a whole bunch of activity. You see people out. Waikiki is packed. Traffic is back to normal, which is annoying. It's like we didn't learn a dang thing from the pandemic. We made no adjustments to what could have made our world a little bit better. We just went back into it. You know, it's been pretty interesting.
I heard you guys are giving away money and trips and everything for vaccinations.
Yeah, I mean, as a whole, like we've talked about in the show in the past, Hawaii's been pretty good with our vaccinations. And we're just getting close to some pretty big benchmarks, and the state's really trying to find ways to get us there. So we're not far from 60% from our population to get vaccinated. And if that happens, you know, a lot of limitations and a lot of restrictions start to fall off, you know, kind of fall off to the wayside. And then, you know, we're really not that, we're looking at projecting 70% being somewhere around the summer is some of the end of summer is some of the optimistic projections for that. You know, we get to 70% here, all our restrictions go away. We don't have any.
Wow.
So that's huge. I mean, so it's great. We'll see how that turns out. Seems like we have a chance by September to get to 70%, but we'll see.
Wow. September seems far away. Like California is supposed to reopen fully. It was going to be next week, but
right.
I think I've been hearing some different things happening where we may not fully reopen next week, but
right.
I mean, we're pretty much there. And Vegas is 100% open, you know, all the way.
Yep.
You know, it was pretty open when I went there about maybe a month ago now. And they had already basically removed the mask mandate because they were saying that as long as you had your vaccinations, you didn't have to wear a mask, but they're not checking. It's just, you know, it's just on everyone's honor, and, you know, people are going to do what they're going to do.
I mean, and so far so good, right? In the places that's happened, and we're not going to talk about the South or some of those places where vaccination rates are like 30%. But in other states where you have a pretty high vaccination rate, like, you know, the mask mandates are down, and like they are in most places. I mean, Hawaii right now, our mask mandate is down for outdoors. We don't have one for outdoors for the most part.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, because I mean, the studies support that. Indoors, it's still in that thing where if everyone's vaccinated, okay, no need. But at businesses, that it hasn't changed. You know, in businesses, the mask mandate's still on for businesses. Just is what it is at this point. It's just the question is kind of like, how do you try to verify? Do you just rely on the honor system? You know, Clear, the company that does all the checking at the airport and has the product for travel passports, you know, for vaccine passports. I've seen that they have, you know, an app that, you know, is legitimate in telling someone if someone's been vaccinated or not, because they use it for international travel, and it looks like they're using it at some arenas around the U.S. for sporting events.
Oh, interesting. I'm just taking a picture of my vaccination card on my phone.
Oh yeah.
I thought, yeah, someone was mentioning that, and I thought it was a good idea. So I just took a picture of it. At
I
least I
mean,
don't have to carry it on.
it's better than nothing, because the idea of holding up this, keeping this cardboard card around with you, it's a horrible idea.
Yeah,
Like, you shouldn't have to take this thing around with you. It's nuts.
yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. And, it doesn't seem like the hardest thing to try to replicate if someone wants to make fake ones.
There's fake ones. People have been stealing them. A guy got caught up here stealing a bunch of them from the place that he worked at.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, there's big money to be made selling those.
There is. And, I haven't really kept up with in some of the places where, there's a lot of people milling around. But, we haven't had a lot of outbreaks here, even though, tourists are coming in. I mean, we got tourists in pretty good numbers coming in right now. We still have our pre-travel testing program in place. So supposedly that's helping. But yeah, we're in a good place here. I can't complain. Business activity for us is at my businesses that I run. I can't blame the pandemic for why, if anything's down. Everything's back to normal, if not better than it was. So
yeah. So check this out. I don't know if you've been following, but there was a Bitcoin conference this past week in Miami.
Okay.
And there were a bunch of people that tweeted today, basically, that they got COVID.
And there you go. There's my thing with the South.
Yeah. Well, so the interesting thing was, and this points back to how things have changed so much in the last couple months, is that many of the people that got COVID at the Bitcoin conference are from Europe, because in Europe, the vaccine isn't as readily available as it is in the United States.
It isn't.
Yeah.
You're 100% right. I mean, that's been going on. And so I saw today, and, when I say today, we're recording on June 10th here. And the headline just came across that the U.S. is going to be donating hundreds of millions of vaccines to around the world now.
Yeah.
And, and I think it's time to do that. It's time to kind of help the world kind of get to at least where we are, help get there, because, it's, people, not everyone wants to get it. So it is what it is. So there's no sense us hoarding these vaccines that, if we're not going to use it, let's get it out to other countries, and let's kind of help be a part of just getting everyone back to normal as much as possible. This is what it is. So I was happy to hear that news came out today. That's really encouraging. Japan needs a whole bunch. Let's get let's get Japan a little more vaccinated so the Olympics can happen in at least a safer platform than it would if they didn't.
Yeah. It sounds like the people there are not too happy that the Olympics are happening. So I think it changes a little bit if they were more widely vaccinated there too.
Right.
So
if you get at least one shot in their arms before the Olympics comes to town, and if, let's say, you put a mandate, and I don't know, I haven't read about it too much, but like every athlete should be vaccinated that comes in. So theoretically, if every athlete is vaccinated coming in, it's really not that much of a threat for them to come in. Theoretically.
Yeah. Although some people have been saying that, like, even if you have been vaccinated, you can still get it, especially with all these variants that are going around.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Those news reports bother me, because when you read the statistics that go along with that, it's not very likely. And even with that Delta variant, the Pfizer vaccine is 88% effective against it.
Yeah,
that's extremely high. So now
so
the bio,
well,
I mean, what it means for the other variants, it's about 98%. So really, the variants don't make that much difference yet. Now,
does that mean then that you have a 12% chance of getting it then?
Getting it, but not getting real sick.
Right. You have a 100% chance of not getting sick. Real sick.
Right, and that's all that. That's the biggest thing that really comes down to it. It really seems like now, in retrospect, when you look at everything that's going on. But, at the same time, the AstraZeneca vaccine doesn't do as well as the Pfizer one does. I think I read the AstraZeneca vaccine is only about 54% effective against the Delta variant. So that might be why too, even for the people in Europe, that if they got that vaccine, which it's more available there in Europe, that might be why they're getting it. But then at the same time, they're not getting, to that point where they're overloading the hospitals. So,
yeah,
that's great. In other places where they're not vaccinated enough, you're still hearing those reports of overrun hospitals, people getting sick, and that's really unfortunate. So hopefully, things get better worldwide. So, things can get back to whatever normal is at that point around the world, not just here in the U.S.
Yeah. Where people are driving 80 and 90 miles an hour on the freeway, like giving everyone the finger and
yeah, we learned nothing. We learned nothing.
Back to normal. LA is back to normal.
We didn't get more humane.
Not at all. Not at all. I think people have been cooped up just makes people crazy.
Absolutely.
That's the bottom line.
I think we've talked about it before. I mean, everyone has some form of PTS. It seems at this point in time, it would seem logical if you went to this pure definition of what PTSD is. Where either you lived it or you witnessed a life-threatening situation. Well, we all at least witnessed a life-threatening situation. I mean, living in a pandemic is a life-threatening situation. So it'd be interesting to see, how everyone is over time, and everything from masking and unmasking and being around other people, handshakes instead of fist bumps. Like something as small as handshakes versus fist bumps. Like when you when you think about it, like how many times in the last week have you gave someone a handshake versus a fist bump?
Yeah, no, that is an interesting way to look at it, where it really is this life-threatening situation, and people that view it seriously in that way, you're gonna have some kind of trauma potentially, right?
That's interesting to look at it. Correct. I mean, I think that's the challenge. I think now when it's much less life-threatening, I think the ones that viewed it as much more life-threatening 10 months ago are having a harder time with the rollout of getting back to normal.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But everyone's on their own timeline, like in anything in healthcare. Everyone's in their own timeline. As we talk about mental health, physical health, there's no different. Timeline is, timelines vary from person to person. And so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But it's encouraging to see and feel, like things are getting back to somewhat of a normal. I would like school for my son to be as normal as possible, come September. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I'm sure it will be.
Yep. Well, Royce, we were having this conversation, before we went on the air, and talked about something that you brought up that you learned about yourself, that's something new about yourself that you're really proud of. But it's not just something you're proud of. Like, I think we need to start a new segment called The Talented Mr. Royce, because you were telling me about this new superpower that you acquired in, I would say, in the last few weeks.
I don't know if it's a superpower I've acquired or whether it's one that I've always had. But I've found a way to quantify it.
Do share.
So I've been wearing this Whoop band. I don't know if you've heard too much about this Whoop band, but it's basically like one of those like Fitbit kind of things, Apple Watch kind of things, where it keeps track of your heart rate, your heart rate variability, like just basically your activity and your rest, and like how well you're stressing your body and how well you're recovering and all those kinds of things. And in it, you can join different groups. And so I joined this group for all of Los Angeles, and I found out what my superpower is today.
Oh yeah, and that is
sleeping. I'm the number 5 sleeper, actually recoverer in LA as of today. Well, for today, at least.
So you were top 5 today in all of Los Angeles.
I was number 5 in all of Los Angeles.
In recovery.
So
that's like sitting around, being zen, sleeping, taking a nap, all that kind of stuff where your heart rate doesn't get above a certain level?
Yes, but it's actually based on the amount of rest that your body got, and based on the your heart rate variability, right? Like how well you're ready to take on strain. That's how you get that rating.
So what you're saying is one of your superpowers is like ability for stress management too.
I was super recovered today. I was ready to run a marathon.
And then I think you were saying you were somewhere, really. You had a high rating in sleeping?
Oh yeah, I had 100% of my sleep requirements. I slept for 8 hours. I don't hardly ever sleep for 8 hours, and I slept for 8 hours. Like I never sleep for 8 hours. Like typically I would usually sleep for 6 hours or less. But I've been really trying to focus on, harnessing my superpower.
I mean,
getting better at it.
I mean, top 5 is top 5.
I've been doing good.
Yeah, top 5 is top 5. When were you ever top 5 in something where there was when there was a group that you were in that had 5 people in it, at least?
Oh, now you just stumped me.
Yeah, I did.
Why you got to do that?
I did. My bad.
You should have said at least, I don't know,
100.
at least 3. 2.
No. That was when you were in karate, and you told me once that you were top 40 in karate, and I told you, weren't there only 20 people in your class? So, I mean, stuff like that.
First of all, it was a tournament, and there were probably like 10. But
out of 10 people,
dude, I was like Ralph Macchio, man. I was like the karate kid, dude. Except I didn't win. or place third or second.
But someone did sweep your leg. Absolutely.
Actually, I did get roundhouse kicked right in the gut one time, and I got the wind knocked out of me. I didn't even see it coming. I did not see that kick coming.
Were you in one of those dojos where what they pretty much gave you a black belt just by if you paid your dues consistently for a span of like 12 months?
No. Back then there were like 2. I mean, I thought that there were like 2 main karate groups, like the one that I was in, and there was another one that's actually still. Huh?
Don't say JIK.
I don't know what JIK is.
Good. That's a
good
thing.
I think they were IKF or something, or it's run by the guy's still doing it. One of the guys I used to be in my division. He's still a sensei. He's still teaching karate. What was his name? I forget his name now. But I saw some article about him, I think in like one of the papers in Hawaii. I think it was Kotaka. George Kotaka? I don't know.
So here's a question, since you brought up Daniel LaRusso and the Karate Kid. So, when they did a reboot of the Karate Kid, were you offended at all that they were filming in China instead of Japan, and were essentially doing, Chinese martial arts instead of Japanese martial arts, since the movie was called The Karate Kid?
Oh, dude, I had no idea, man. But man, dude,
did you not watch that one?
Which one?
With Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith.
Oh no, I didn't watch that one, dude.
Yeah. The reboot of The Karate Kid was in China.
I saw that. Well, I mean, I saw the commercials for it, but I didn't watch it.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan.
Be thankful you did it.
I'm not a real big fan of reboots, I think.
Yeah. Although, when Top Gun comes out, that will be my return to the movie theater.
No, I'll be first in line.
Yep. When Top Gun is out there, I'm going.
First in line. It's like when Fast and Furious 9 is out, dude, I'll be first in line. These movies are right up my alley.
I mean, I don't think we're going to be the only one, right, for those things.
Yeah. Definitely not. I can't wait. I actually saw a movie in a theater, but so the interesting thing now is that I don't know if you've been following like AMC.
Yes,
but they allow you to rent out the entire theater now. for like 20 people. And
I
so
mean, I like
one of
that
my
business model.
yeah, one of my friends who runs a veterinary up here, they rented it out for the organization, and so I went and I saw this movie called Mr. Nobody, I think,
Uh
or
huh.
something. It was kind of an action movie. It was interesting to be in the theater again.
Was that is that another Jason Statham movie or something like that?
It's kind it feels like it was made for him, but it's starring some other guy.
Hmm.
Like I don't remember who it was.
It's not another like Liam Neeson movie where he loses another kid or something, right? Like the dude's like the worst parent in the world. Like he always loses his kid,
Yeah,
and then he's always in danger from his like former job where he was some
yeah.
operative where he knows how to kill people. Like I don't know,
You'd think that they would take his kid away at some point, but I guess she's
like
older now. You're right. Like
yeah, I guess. But it's amazing how you can recycle that storyline over and over again.
it's just like Hangover.
Yeah, but that's more funny. Like Mr. Chow, that's why come on now, Mr. Chow sells. Come on.
Apparently, yeah. I did not like that portrayal.
You talk about the Hangover,
Yeah,
and like that character in general.
it was bad for Asians going to Vegas at the time. It
Well,
was
are
bad.
you talking about when he jumped out of the trunk butt naked? Are you talking about that part?
I'm talking about all the
I mean, the accent and all that stuff. Yeah, it's not good. It's
I
not
mean,
good.
looking back at it now, right?
It's not good. But par for the course for Hollywood, right? I mean,
Yeah,
at the same time, I'm looking at, I'm going to watch a movie tonight with my wife. We're going to watch In the Heights, and it's interesting, right? Because you look at the cast and you look at the people behind the movie. It's predominantly all minorities.
yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Things are changing. Things are definitely changing.
I mean, it's changing with purpose, right? So of course, what you want to see is over time that this just becomes part of the norm. That this is just some little blip on the radar. Kind of like a run of Bitcoin from 60,000 to 30,000. Boop boop comes right up, goes up, right, and then comes right down.
Yeah. No, I think it is. I mean, things are definitely changing. Seems to be changing for the better, at least in Hollywood. And there's definitely a lot more shows now with a lot of different people. Although I don't really watch television that much anyway,
Mm-hmm.
other than sports. So I'm
Yeah.
probably the wrong person to talk about that.
Well, I mean, speaking about sports, I mean, we just finished watching Game 2 between the Jazz and the Clippers. What were your thoughts about that?
You know, it was a good game. Still, like, I mean, I'm a Clipper fan, but I know that being a Clipper fan means at some point you're going to get let down. But it was they fought. It just seems like Utah has a lot more like firepower, I guess. A lot more of the pieces, and they fit together better.
They fit better. I don't think we can say they have
Yeah.
more firepower. I think they just fit better. I mean,
I think
just
they
at
do.
time the Clippers just look disjointed at times. They'll just rely on Kawhi and Paul George to kind of do their thing, and
Yeah.
especially Kawhi because you saw what Kawhi did. You saw it looked like in that Game 7, like he just took over.
Yeah.
Like that was Kawhi in Toronto that we saw in Game 7 against the Mavericks. Just took the
Yeah.
game over.
Yeah. But he's not as like he can create shots for others too. Like so he can score obviously he can score. He can rebound, he can play defense. He can create for others, but it's I don't think it's as easy for him as for other superstars. And he doesn't average that many assists during the regular season anyway either.
Well, he doesn't play in the
But
regular season. He plays only half the regular season.
yeah, but still he gets whatever game he's playing a decent amount of minutes. But Paul George is not the kind of guy that I think really fits well on that team. Like he's a good defensive player by himself. He can score. Obviously, I mean he almost led the league in scoring one year, I think, right?
Yeah,
But but he needs the ball. Paul George is a
He,
guy that needs the
he's
ball quite a lot,
he's ball
and he's
dominant.
not. Yeah, and he's not a consistent scorer.
No,
And I think
and
that's a problem because he's supposed to be the second leading scorer on that team, but he's kind of inconsistent in that, I think.
well, I mean, it's interesting because you can tell that the demons of some of the playoff pass really do bother him because keeps talking about it. But the criticism is real. At one point in time tonight, I think he was 6 for 16, and I think he had like 21 points. And and they were talking about on the telecast about how he was having an off night. I mean, 6 for 16. He makes the next shot to layup, 7 for 17, and he has 20-something points because he was 8 for 8 from the free throw line.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty effective scoring. But because of because of the reputation now, or just the popular narrative about him, it was a terrible night. I'm not so sure about that.
No, it wasn't a terrible night. In fact, the time that we were even joking about him, like he still had a decent game.
He did. At that point, he had 23 points.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, he does. They don't look like they sync together very well, those two.
Yeah.
It just feels like, hey, let's put two stars in the room and let's go figure it out. But they have guys that can play. Like when Reggie Jackson and Marcus Morris hit those back-to-back threes in that Game 7 against Dallas, that actually was sealed the game as Dallas was trying to come back. When Dallas got the deficit down to 7, and all of a sudden back-to-back threes, boom, they're up 13, and that was it. That ended the game.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard not to disagree with you. It's hard to disagree with you on that. There's probably a disappointment coming soon.
But I mean, again, Utah had the best record in the league.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really that much of an upset if the Clippers do lose.
It'll just it's just perceived that way because of Kawhi and Paul George.
Yeah, but I mean, Utah looks like, at least so far, they look like the better team.
Well, Rudy Gobert, I mean, you talk about a guy that makes a heck of a difference.
Yeah.
During a time where defense isn't like the highest priority, this guy does his thing on defense, and it affects the game in such a positive way for the Jazz. When he picked that pass off late in the game on that lob.
Yeah.
Like you could really just feel at that point in time the momentum. And this is the great part of having fans back in the building again, right? You could just feel the emotion of that time where the fans just kind of got behind him, and that was the charge, for the Jazz to kind of just separate themselves from the Clippers tonight.
Yeah, I mean it's great to play with a guy like that that's gonna get your back, like on the last line of defense.
Right. What Andre Drummond couldn't do for the Lakers.
Yeah, Andre Drummond. I think Andre Drummond, as good as he is rebounding and as big of a beast as he is in the middle, he is less of a fit than Dwight Howard was last year. Like Dwight Howard is more active. Yep. He can block shots.
Yep.
He's more athletic.
Yep.
And I think that really, that's one of the things that hurt the Lakers this year.
Yeah, and I really believe the thing with the Lakers in the end was, we probably talked about this at the end of the title run last year, is that the short turnaround, that wasn't going to work out well for the Lakers. It just wasn't.
No.
AD came out of that series not healthy, and no surprise to me, he was hurt all year. I mean, there shouldn't be any surprise about what happened with AD this year, and even LeBron. LeBron's a lot older. The mileage is there. And then AD got hurt during the playoffs last year. No kidding, it's going to be a problem again this year when you just turn the season around in a couple months. Yeah.
Yeah, it's too bad. You kind of want to defend your title with, your team at full capacity, and they weren't, obviously. But
right.
That kind of stuff happens. I mean, it happened to the Cavaliers when they played in the finals against Golden State. Right. And Kyrie and Kevin Love were out.
Yep. It just happens, and in the end, to me, it's I'm a Laker fan. It's just weird being a Laker fan nowadays
Wait, what?
because
You're a Laker fan?
I'm from the '80s, man.
Oh my
Showtime,
god,
baby.
dude, how did I not know that?
Showtime. Why do you think? Okay, here.
Yeah,
This is
okay.
how you should have known that.
How should I know?
The last NBA game you and I went to together. Do you remember?
I do not.
Driving up to Key Arena,
Was it Lakers?
Lakers, Sonics.
Really?
Yep. Yep. And somebody was singing the Backstreet Boys in my car
That must have been you.
all the way up. It wasn't me.
I don't even know
Somebody was dancing and singing in my car. Another
who-
episode of the talented Mr. Royce. Not
I don't
only
even
does
know.
he sleep like an all-star, dude sings and dances like an all-star.
That is true. Most people don't know that I was the sixth Backstreet Boy. But
Then they decided they didn't want Asians on the
As
in the
usual.
group.
as usual, I got cut. I didn't
But
make
you're
the band.
always waiting in the wings
Did
just in
not make
case.
Did not make
Just
the
in
band.
case.
This guy can't sing and he can't dance. Ah,
I don't know, but he dances really well in a Dodge Neon. I can't believe I used to drive a Dodge Neon.
oh man. Who was playing for the Lakers back then?
Shaq,
Shaq was on the team?
Eddie Jones,
Nick Van Exel?
Nick Van Exel. Right before they broke up the band for Kobe.
Wow. Yeah. I miss Kiarina.
Well, you hear the rumors. The Timberwolves might be the team that ends up there.
There's so many rumors going around. I mean, there's rumors about Major League Baseball going to Vegas, NBA going to Vegas.
Well, I definitely think the A's are going to end up in Vegas. I think the A's are going to do what the Raiders did. They're going to go to Vegas.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. Their farm team is there. The AAA team is there.
Yep, the Las Vegas Stars.
No,
Remember back in the
it's the
PCL
Aviators.
days?
It's the
The Aviators
now.
now? Man.
They used to be the 51s, right?
51, the Stars. It was the Stars during our time when the Hawaii Islanders was still in existence. The Las Vegas
Oh
Stars.
man, Hawaii Islanders.
Where's your
man.
hat?
That's my fantasy team, man. Gotta bring the hat. I was looking on these sites where they have all these like old jerseys and hats and jackets and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I found this site that has some of the old like uniforms and hats for the Islanders, but the hat is like $300.
No, thank you.
Something like that. Yeah, $300 for a wool hat from the '80s. I think wasn't the last season they played like maybe like an '87 or '85 or something.
Yeah, and at that time they were the affiliate of the Chicago White Sox.
White Sox, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So here's a trivia question for you: 3 all-timers that were a part of the Hawaii Islanders. 3 absolute all-timers, like undoubtedly all-time greats.
Tony Gwynn, Barry Bonds. I don't know.
An absolute all-timer. This is This is probably the hardest one. The great Al Michaels was the play-by-play guy for
he wasn't
the
a
Hawaii
player.
Islanders.
I thought you were talking about a player.
Dude, he's an all-timer. It doesn't matter. I didn't say player. I said all-timer. Al Michaels.
Man.
But yeah,
AAA back when they used to play at Aloha Stadium.
back in the horribly hot. I remember watching a few Islanders games there. Hot. Just hot.
Yeah.
But, yep. It's good to see sports back, stadiums back. Sometime this fall, you and I will be going either to a game in Vegas or we'll just watch it in the sports book in Vegas.
Yeah, man. When is that happening?
So I just got booked for a wedding that I got to cater for on September 18th. So I gotta just plan around that.
Nice, dude. Well, I'm
So
ready.
we'll plan around that. We'll go sometime during football season. I might time it during a time I do a football trip, perhaps, where I go watch a college game, a pro game, and end up in Vegas or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how the fall is like. We'll see what routines are like at that time with, taking the kids to school and all that stuff, all this normal stuff,
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm excited because it'd be pretty great. A really not so great transition and segue into what's not so exciting anymore right now is what's going on in cryptocurrency and the crypto market. What's kind of your opinion about everything we've seen happen in the basically last month since we did a recording?
Dude, it's always exciting. So, like, actually, why don't we recap what's happened since then, right? So, back in the middle of May, I think when it was right around the time that we did our last podcast with the Max Headroom sound effects, Bitcoin and the entire market basically hit an all time high, right? Bitcoin was at 60 something K, Ethereum was at 4K, and since since the Elon tweet and the dog coins died, the crypto market has just been taking a dump. And it's gone from there down to Bitcoin right now is 37K. Ethereum is at 2,400.
Yep. At this moment, 24.47.37.
And then the entire market's, tanked like about a 30-40% correction across the board. So it's been pretty crazy. But the thing is, even in that week before it hit the all-time high, like it went up like 30%, 40% in that week.
Correct.
So, to me, it was kind of one of those things where it was bound to have some kind of correction. I think now, though, the question is, where does it go from here? Does it continue going up? Does it continue going, more down? I don't know. But, my concerns, like we were talking about earlier, is more around just the general economic environment right now. And, there's a lot of concerns about inflation. And so, what does that mean for the market and everything else? So, I don't know.
Yeah, I think what's been interesting about what's happened this last month. There's been so many events around where we use Bitcoin as an example, like the Colonial Pipeline shutdown and the ransomware attack that surrounded that. I think what was fascinating in the last few days is to find out that the U.S. government was able to seize the Bitcoin that was paid out for the ransom. Like, how is that even possible?
Well,
in this market that's supposed to be anonymous.
So, that's kind of a misunderstanding of. Well, I guess when people say that, Bitcoin or crypto is supposed to be untraceable, it's not really true, right? Because if you know the blockchain, you know that every single transaction
traceable.
Is viewable. Yeah, it's traceable. It's on a ledger that everyone can see.
Right.
The only thing that people can't do is really associate an address with an individual person. But there are ways that you can kind of get an idea potentially of who that person is, especially when you go through off ramps from crypto into fiat. Like guys like Coinbase and Kraken, they're going to have, know your customer types of initiatives there. And if you try to move your crypto off using one of those off ramps, then they're going to know who you are, and they can associate you with your addresses. But I think in this case, and I'm not 100% clear what happened, I think they may have moved it to an exchange or some type of custodial service where they don't have their private key. And so, there's a saying basically that if it's not your key, it's not your funds. Like, if you don't have control of your wallet, it's not really your funds. And in this case, these hackers move their funds to a server or service that controlled the wallet keys for them, and
Well,
that's how they were able to recover it. But either they didn't care about it, or they wanted it to be found, or they were not competent in handling that, or
and that's
maybe
the
some
hard
other
one to
reason.
believe, right? That's the
Yeah,
that's the
that's
part
the
that's
hard one
hard
to
to
believe.
believe, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I was listening today to an interview. I think that journalist's name was Michael Schwartz for the New York Times. He was talking about his investigative reporting into DarkSide. The group that's been the group where supposedly the hack and all that kind of stuff was traced to,
Yeah.
and the federal government has been investigating DarkSide forever. So
Hmm.
it almost seems like when something happened, the federal government, it's not like they were completely in the dark, no pun intended, and how to get after them and find things,
Right.
and figure out what happened. I mean, it was an interesting interview, and all the things that he talked about in hacker world, and sometimes what the motive is for hackers, that is not always, many times it's not even about the money, but it's just the money is what gets people to move and gets them to do things, or it gets publicity. But it, what you were just saying, I mean, to me, I was like, dude, that kind of makes sense, where I don't think these people are stupid. I think they didn't really care about the money. They just, they're hackers, and they want to show, what you tell me. I mean, you're way more the IT savvy guy, and all this other stuff. What is the motives behind? What are the motives behind, like, hackers, and why do they do what they do?
I mean, sometimes it's for clout. Sometimes it's just to prove your skill, right? Like it's just like anything else. They do it for the challenge or
Right.
whatnot. But yeah, who's to say? Like, I don't know. I don't know what these guys' intentions were.
But it's crazy, right? Like, it's crazy to think that you're gonna do this, and you're gonna ask for this crap ton of money, and then essentially
Well,
let it be caught.
uh, yeah, yeah. I mean, well, sometimes the easiest way to hack into things is to hack in through social engineering, right? So
Hmm.
that's how like a lot of the stuff that I don't know if you ever heard of Kevin Mitnick.
No.
Like he's like one of the most famous hackers. He actually I think he was in jail for a while, but now he's like a cybersecurity guy. But some of the ways that he used to get access to different systems was on social engineering,
Hmm.
and like the easiest path is through your weakest link, and people
Sure.
are generally your weakest link in security.
Sure.
So like you could call up. I think that's what happened to Twitter too when they had a bunch of celebrity accounts that got taken over.
Right.
Because you could just call in and say, "Hey, I'm so and so," and like if you're demanding or like they ask you your challenge questions and it's like, "Hey, what's the name of your dog?" For a lot of times
Right.
for a lot of times when these people are famous,
The
all it
information's
takes is
online.
all it takes is a Google search.
Yeah. I mean, I
So
think I think that I mean that's the part. Sorry to kind of jump in here, but I always find that this is the funniest thing, that your security question is like the thing that gets in the way of other people getting to your account. I'm like, if they do a little research on you, if you really wanted to take something,
you can figure it
it's,
out.
it would seem like that's something you could figure out.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's not always like how it's portrayed in the movies or in television, where some guy's just like pounding away at the keyboard and boom,
Right.
you're in. Like that's not really how it works.
Yeah.
It's not that glamorous, but there are really smart people out there that can take advantage of or discover and take advantage of vulnerabilities
Hmm.
in software that's out there, and that's I mean, you're talking about people that have a high level of sophistication, though. So it's not like you're 90% of the people that are out there
Oh God, no.
that are going
Right.
to do that. Yeah,
I mean, they shut down an oil pipeline. That's impressive.
yeah. But well, I don't know how. I haven't. I mean, I haven't looked at closely at that either, but I don't know how they got in or what.
Right.
Like whether sometimes it happens where they send you like a email that looks it's like a phishing email or something, and they log in with their credentials to a site that looks similar to the site that they're supposed to get in, and based on those credentials, they're able to get in, right? Like, who knows? Like, they're gonna have to do an investigation and figure out how it happened, but it could be something fairly simple.
And to bring this conversation back to cryptos, I mean, you talk about the misconception of people thinking everything's so anonymous. I've talked to guys that think if they just put all their money in crypto, they can avoid taxes the rest of their lives.
No.
I'm like, I don't think that's where it's going. It's actually almost the opposite, because you see where the market's going, where, there's all this talk about taxing, finding ways to tax and track crypto transactions and all these other things on the blockchain for IRS purposes. And I think that's a good thing for the market. But I think some of the selling we've seen is some of these guys that thought they had this cloak of invisibility that really doesn't exist.
I wonder about that, because if you don't exchange it for fiat,
you can't kind of be out there.
What?
No, if you don't exchange it for fiat, if you don't take an off ramp, like that law in El Salvador, when El Salvador made it legal tender, I believe there's a caveat in that law that says if you don't make it fiat, if you don't put it into a currency, like, you don't pay taxes on it.
Yeah, actually, I don't. I think in the El Salvador thing, I don't think you pay taxes at all, because it's just a currency. But I mean, basically, that's going to be your challenge. Is that, like, if you want to convert it into fiat and use it somewhere, like, especially in society today,
you'll get tracked.
That typically, that's where you're going to run into problems.
Right. If you're trying to hide. If you're trying to hide from people.
Yeah, if you're trying to hide. Like, you'd have to do it, like, in an off the books kind of way.
Right.
Somehow.
So, I don't know. Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of things that play with what happened in the market. But what's interesting is how the market, like, we look at Ethereum because we talk about that so much. I mean, it's in a really tight range of 2,400 and some change to about 28. Right now, it's at near the bottom of its trading range for the last month. You wonder, is this base building, is this wood chopping for a move up? Or is this kind of, or is this kind of your last chance to get out before the bottom really falls out?
Time to buy?
I mean, I've heard a lot of that, is that now that seemingly weak hands are out of the market, this is where you buy in. Kind of like meme stocks. Like, if you sat and you looked at AMC at 9, like, for me, when I look at AMC, the theater company, and when it was at $10, my friend and I talked about it. I said, well, I look at where AMC was pre-pandemic and about $15, $16 a share. I mean, I could see it going to $15, $16. Anything above that, I can't get involved. And it went up to 72. And today, but at the same time, because it's a meme stock, it's down to 43 or 42 today in a span of 2 days. So, I mean, it's funny, like, meme stocks are trading like cryptocurrency.
In a way, yeah.
They are. The bottom just falls despite these huge rise and falls.
It's I think it's a new concept of, like, social investing.
Right. Social trading.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess I shouldn't say investing.
Yeah, that's not investing.
Where, people decide that they're going to pump up a stock or a crypto, and they go and do that. I mean, this is exactly what was happening
in the crypto
market. Yeah, in the last run as well, in 2017, where you had these Telegram groups where people would say, like, hey, we're going to buy this coin, and they'd pump it up, and then then they sell and pocket the money. And it's happening to a similar extent this time as well, except it's all out in the open in, like, Twitter and Reddit and
the dog coins. I mean, look at the dog coins. The dog coins was all social. You know, like that. And if you made money, good for you, man. Like we're not like we're
No,
not
there's
judging at all. We're just
no, there's
observing.
nothing.
Is fascinating. Like, man, you make your money, more power to you, man.
Yeah, no,
You know.
I do think that this is a way that at least some winners temporarily will be picked.
Hmm.
And if you're able to get in there early, like you're gonna have a winner on your hands. You're gonna make money,
Right,
and
and you decide what your off ramp is.
yeah,
You decide when you want to get out.
yeah,
Like even if I bought AMC at $9 because I was looking at it at 9, I would have sold at 16 and never got back in.
yeah, yeah. I mean, this and it happens. It happens on a different scale too with these larger investment companies, right? Where
Yep.
I remember there was one day where Symantec stock cratered like 30% because one of the big investment firms sold out their
Yep.
position.
Yep.
So it happens. It's
It
just that
happens a
this
lot.
time is different. It's with retail investors as opposed to
And,
institutions.
and that and we've talked about this before. This is why what I find kind of sickening about that financial world, right? These guys point fingers at retail investors do this and that. The institutions are not necessarily not doing the same thing. They're
Yeah,
doing the
yeah,
same thing.
yeah.
So whatever, dude.
They have a lot more. They have a lot more gunpowder, though.
They do.
So
Yep. There's a lot more powder there. Um, but yeah, I think you and I are in the same boat with Ethereum, and I'm still holding Ethereum and Compound. My Compound, I think I'm going to do what's called loss harvesting. I'm going to do that pretty soon, where I'm just going to sell it and buy it right back. That way, I can get the tax benefits of the loss. Since we don't have
yeah,
any wash sale laws, I'll get the tax
yeah,
benefit, of the loss and just buy it right back.
yeah.
And
That's actually a good point with crypto, though, is that because there aren't regulations like that, like there are for equities,
right.
you can do that. You can do
And
that
for the
easily.
people, yeah, for the people in the audience that don't understand, and again, this is not a show giving you financial advice. We're just talking about what we do, and if we're wrong in our concept of what's going on, we're gonna suffer from it. Don't This is not us telling you should do what we're doing. But in stocks, there's this thing called wash sales, where if you take a loss on a stock, you can't buy it back for 30 days. So if you do buy it back before 30 days, you can't utilize the loss in your as a deduction in your tax return. So, but what's interesting about the crypto world for now, and I think this is going to change by next year, because the Federal Reserve, the Department of Treasury, I should say, is talking about this so much. With crypto, there is no 30 days. So if you're down on a crypto, let's say you're down $2,000 on a crypto, sell it, take that $2,000 loss, and then buy it right back. And you can use that $2,000 loss to offset gains you made before if you were trading aggressively in the run up. So, now the market looks mildly stable for now. I'll probably just harvest those losses and offset some of the gains we had from the year from this amazing run. Like it's been
Yeah,
amazing. And in
that's
perspective,
crazy.
right? From November till now, Ethereum was 450 and now it's 2400. Astounding. Like,
No,
it's
yeah,
still it's still like out of this world.
it's crazy, dude. I still it's hard to believe where things were
Last year
like
this
a year
time.
ago. Yeah, it's still a year
Last year
ago.
this time. Exactly.
Yeah,
I want to say Ethereum was $200 last year this time.
probably. Yeah, somewhere around there, I'm sure. What is it? June. So like back last year in March, like right when the pandemic started, it dipped under 100.
Yep. It's
So
crazy.
yeah, it was crazy. And I remember buying some back then too.
Yep.
But who knew, man? I mean, it was a crazy
And you
time.
know what? I just got to point out this one thing, and without getting into too much details, but we've alluded to this before on this show that you've been a long time holder of cryptocurrency and this and that and this and that. But I gotta say, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with your discipline, that you took some off the table.
Oh, I was about to say, I was like, discipline. Do you know who you're talking about?
You absolutely showed a lot of discipline.
I am the.
In this last run up, you showed a lot of discipline, and you didn't do, you didn't, a lot of people at the top of markets, a lot of people hold on and then they just hold, and they hold on to the bitter end.
Yeah. Well,
and you have the discipline to take them out.
Part of that is learning lessons from previous battles and writing things all the way down. But no, like talking to you, talking to Ken, like it really helps, balance me out, I think. Like I have a tendency to take risks.
Oh yeah.
But
as we've witnessed many times over the years. Yes. Yeah. Yes, you do.
It's good. It's good to talk with
way
you.
more than I do.
It's good. It's good to talk with you. It's good to talk with Ken. It's good to talk things out, perspectives, and all that. So different opinions. Right. But yeah, I'm a risk taker. There's no way around it.
If you're not a risk taker, and I am too, but if you're not a risk taker, like you do, you limit your upside just in anything you do. Even if we're not talking about finance, if you're a risk taker in things in life, things that don't involve money, I think there's a part of that's a very healthy way to live. If you live life just fearing everything and fearing the unknown, you never really get to tap into kind of something you could do that you never thought you could ever do. It's like right now, we opened the show, we talked about the students that just sat for their exams. Now that with one of them, we're going to go into a process now where I'm going to help them start their business and just walk them through the process, walk them through getting a federal tax ID number, walk them through registering their names with the the state entities we need to do that with. And it's so, for me, that, that part is the part where that's where I get a lot out of what I do, because I get a lot of gratification by being able to pass that information and experience along to other people. But if I never took those risks in the past, I wouldn't be able to pass along that knowledge and information.
Yeah, no, that's exciting, man. That's exciting.
Yeah, it's fun as heck. Dude, I don't know what they're gonna do with it, but it's, you give them a platform they have no idea how to get to, and then let's see when they get there. Let's see what they do with it. Yeah,
you know what, man? It's like going on an adventure.
It is.
It really is.
It's not my business, but it's gonna be fun to watch them try to grow their business and be an entrepreneur and see the challenges, but also see the rewards.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, man. But dude, I definitely want to hear about your remodeling business, man. Because I've seen pictures of that stuff, dude, and it looks really good, man.
Thanks, man. So, long story short, one of the, as my wife would say, one of the many things I do, when people ask my wife, like, what does Steve do for a living? There's no one answer.
Yeah, there is. He makes money.
Yeah,
he makes money.
Yeah. It's more than that, but so one of the things I started doing in the last few years is doing renovations with my father-in-law, of all people.
Yeah.
And we've been buying houses and really thoughtfully fixing them up and either renting them or turning around and selling them. And so we just finished a project that took us about 5.5, 6 months to finish. And it was really gratifying because, I had a lot of space to work with for a kitchen. I could make it the way, with my background in the food industry and stuff, it was really great to be able to really experiment with the kitchen and have a good time with that. And renovations are getting better every time we do one. But but yeah, it's it's on the market now. It's all over. It's all every website, and it's on Zillow. It's been getting great response on Zillow. You know,
Yeah.
we've been yeah. I think at this point in time we have over almost like almost over 6,000 views on it with over 200 saves in not a long period of time. And when we had an open house, the response was amazing. So it's fun, man. Like seriously, it's fun.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
awesome. It's in Kamuki, right?
it's in Kaimuki.
Yeah.
For those that aren't familiar with Hawaii, it's a little bit down the street from where Diamond Head is, um, and it's a good location. And so it's been fun. It's been fun to speculate in that market a little bit. In Hawaii, we get a little bit of a cushion when you speculate in that market because, especially on this island on Oahu, it's not like we're growing new land. Like
Yeah.
land's a finite resource here on Oahu, especially in the quote unquote town area, in the more metropolitan area. There is no new land. You're just buying existing land and doing things to either again make a place for rental. But either way, it's a great long term investment. I think the history has shown even if you buy high, if you can hang in the market long enough, it comes back.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, there's not a lot of space, but I was actually surprised when I was out there how much Eva has grown, again,
mhm.
developed since I've been there. But dude, so like you like design like
Yeah,
all the upgrades and stuff, and like you just have a contractor go out and build it.
yeah. So especially this one,
If you don't
my
mind
father.
me
I like to
asking.
joke. So I like to joke around. So first of all, when I tell people I do this with my father-in-law, people are just like, "What? What are you talking about? Like, how are you guys still speaking to each other? Like, it would seem like pretty perilous, like territory to be like doing projects with your father-in-law." Uh, you know, uh, I'm very grateful for the fact that he and I have this great relationship where, I mean, we survived road trips together where it's just he and I on the road for 10 days sometimes, going watching football games together, visiting friends that are currently working in football that he used to coach with, and these type of things. And long story short, I'm very fortunate. It's a great relationship. So he allows me to kind of run with design. He allows me to kind of play with the design of of the whole house. I like to refer to my father-in-law sometimes as a blunt instrument. There's not much refinement sometimes to what he does. He's
Yeah,
just about getting something done. So I'm the other side of the equation where I have to help. I have to kind of remind him to press the brakes a little bit. Hey, let's do this because it probably looks better if we do it this way. So we got a pretty good thing going as far as our dynamic. It probably scares some people because once in a while we're yelling at each other, that kind of stuff. But for us, it comes from a good place. We're all going in the same direction. So
yeah,
if it's kind of the joke of we're not yelling at each other. It's just passion. That's all. Just stuff like that.
yeah. You know what's
But
interesting about that though? Just my
yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, my 2 cents there. Like, is that when you play sports, that happens all the time on the
All day,
field, right? All
all
the
day.
time. So many times I've been yelled at, or I've yelled at other people, or whatever it is, right? But you're always heading towards like a common goal, right? And it's never personal. Like you never take it off the field. But the people that haven't played sports or maybe just don't understand that, like it's different, right? And it's really interesting. People that have I think people that haven't played in a competitive environment don't understand how you can yell at someone and not be mad or hold grudges, or like especially if you're headed in the same direction.
I think that's the biggest thing. And
Yeah.
thanks for pointing that out because I actually kind of think I've never looked at it that way. That he and I have such a strong background in athletics and competition.
Yeah.
Um, that I don't think I put it together that might be where some of the common bond comes in how we process our communication with each other and how we work together.
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right. If I really stop and think about it right now, which I'm trying to, in real time here, you're right, because we really are. I mean, the ship's moving in the same direction,
Yeah.
and we just trying to get the best result we can, and in the same day that we might be getting after each other a little bit, we're having beers later that day, or we're in the same car driving to Lowe's at like 8 o'clock at night to make a run to get materials.
Yeah.
So as far as your question about what we do with the projects, I try to do as much of the stuff myself that I can, that my time allows, and everything else, yes, we leave to a contractor to do. But to control profit margin and those kind of things, whatever you can do yourself, you do.
Yeah.
And like for me, a lot of times I end up doing a lot of landscaping, and for me to do the landscaping, it saves us at least 5 figures to do it myself.
Wow.
So these are the areas where you try to find your openings where you can make an effect. Sometimes making the greatest effect is buying the materials yourself, so you don't get charged a 15% upcharge on everything the contractor buys for you. I mean, a significant amount of money when you got to buy a lot of material.
Yeah. Interesting.
So we'll see how it goes. We're very fortunate that less than a month being on the market, it is in escrow, but we're still showing it. And why not? Let's use it as a commercial, right? It's 757 22nd Avenue. Take a look.
Exactly.
Why not?
Exactly.
Why not? Why not? It's in escrow, but you want to line up. You want to line up and be a secondary offer for us? Then have at it, boss.
I'm not gonna lie. It looked like a really nice place when I saw the pictures that you posted. Like, it looked really nice. But also I was asking because I always have ulterior motives. And, just in case I need to do some landscaping up here or I need some design opinions, I'm going to fly you up here. Fly you up here.
100%. Yeah. I mean, so after this last project, I decided that my food service business, I decided to advertise through my food service business that, I'm open to doing consulting on kitchen design for your house.
Yeah.
And I think within 5 hours, I got a DM asking if they can make an appointment. So it's interesting, and it's just parlaying your experience into something else.
Yeah,
you're scaffolding your life, right? One thing after another based on your experiences.
Yeah, and that's the biggest part too. When I remodeled my kitchen, like, I had zero experience, and like, if I had a chance to do it over again, there's definitely things I would do differently.
Fly me up.
But but I mean, this is like 6 years ago.
Yeah,
I think.
So you got another 10 years in that kitchen before you want to remodel it again.
I'm not remodeling it again, dude. I'll sell my house before I remodel anything again. It's good enough.
Something here. You need to invest something here.
Yeah.
You want to make, but you want to make your trips home a business expense. Get a property here. You got to quote unquote visit your investment.
Even if I get like a small place, dude.
Doesn't matter. It's your investment.
Write that off.
You're visiting your investment.
I'll write it off.
Yes,
sir. Nice tax write-off.
Yes, sir. Anything helps.
Yeah.
But that's cool, man. It's been fun. It's been busy as heck. And I actually think that's been part of the reason why we haven't been recording as consistently, because when I get back from the office, from the clinic, I'm usually there in the evening or going out and getting materials, and it's just I'm used to working long hours, so that part doesn't, like, it's not a negative for me, but it does take away from other things. So we thank you guys as our audience for we track our stats every time we upload an episode, and we're so grateful that you guys are willing to subject yourself to us every time we put an episode up no matter how much time we put in between an episode.
And all that pain.
Especially in that last episode with all that technical difficulties. Like
the Max Headroom episode.
Yeah, I mean, if you need a flashback to the 80s and New Coke, we gave it to you.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. When I was looking that up, I didn't realize that there was a television show too, like
TV show. It
grew
into a TV show.
Yep. I was shocked, but
I mean, we're always glad to be entertainment if you're sitting on the toilet for an hour and a half or so, just killing time, or driving around, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Hey, well, any way we can entertain you guys, and maybe luckily educate you a little bit, that'd be great. But I mean, I don't know about you, Royce, but I've been a little blown away at the response that we get from just seeing how many people listen to our show. Because, I mean, I think we were joking but not joking when we thought, maybe 3 people would listen to our show. That's about it.
Oh, I wasn't joking. I was not joking.
I mean, that's pretty.
3 is one too many.
Yeah, we'd be like, that's amazing. Like, how do we get them to listen to us every time we have an episode? It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm still in shock, and also very appreciative. It's fun for us to do, and fun to hear feedback from all of our listeners, and it's just a great thing. I love it.
And what's coming soon, Royce, and I didn't even tell you this yet, is I'm working on our swag. I'm working on our apparel.
Wow. Hey,
I'm
you
close.
gotta give me one though.
I'm close. I'm close to. I already ordered hats. Hats are coming in. I'm gonna get them embroidered soon.
I want a t-shirt. I want a t-shirt, man.
Oh, dude, I gotta get your board short size, because I'm gonna make podcast board shorts.
Oh, I definitely need that then.
Absolutely. So I off air, I need your waist size, but if you want to share it on air, that's fine too. Like,
I'm a 32. Okay. I think 32 is good right now.
All right, there you go. Okay. For those of you that cannot see, he's flexing in his Ruka shirt right now. Maybe I'll get you a Ruka board short so that you can have that on there. Yeah, I mean, how cool would that be though, right? Like, you walk around with your Voices for Blogging podcast hat and board shorts, just cruising around. Come on.
That'd be awesome, man. I love the icon, and thanks to my brother for putting that together.
Shout out to him. Absolutely. I love it. It's so clean. It's so clean, and it represents everything we wanted it to. So, I mean.
Yeah. I was going to say something, but I'm not.
No,
I'm not.
Don't do it. But yeah, so at some point in time, we'll have those things posted on our Instagram page, and if you want to order a hat or order board shorts, or or a dry fit tee, for workouts, like, hit us up.
Awesome, man.
Dude. Yep, I'm excited.
I am too.
I'm excited because we're gonna walk around with our logo, and I'm gonna someone's gonna ask me, what in the world does that stand for?
We should put it under there. What it is?
Yeah, I think so. And I just think it's just cool because it's like this. At some point, it's like this little secret society. Like, it's not this thing that everyone knows like what it is. I'm just gonna be wearing it around. It'll just be this little icon that's on, like, and because I'm not gonna make the logo real big on a lot of the apparel I'm making. I don't want it to like take over anything. I just want it to be real subtle. So
just us and our listeners.
Exactly. Yep. So one day soon, it'll be up on the Instagram page, and we can ship it out to you. And
awesome,
the talented Mr. Royce will even autograph it for you.
I will. With a bunch of squiggles.
The expert power napper. expert in being top 5 at recovery.
At least for today. Definitely not tomorrow with all this drinking.
Oh yeah. So that's also happening while we do most of these episodes, by the way. So even more so, we are not giving you investment advice. We are drinking. We are drinking for the majority of all our shows. So, well, Royce, I think with that, I think we should wrap up this episode. It was great kind of talking to you again and seeing you.
It's great talking to you and seeing you, and we got to.
You got to come home, man. We got to do an episode on location here.
So I will be actually home at the end of August, beginning of September.
Done.
There you go.
Sweet. That's going to be great.
In person.
Great. We'll do it from the beach or something.
Or something, yeah. Or something.
Oh, you know what? We'll charter a boat. Let's just do it on a boat and go fishing at the same time.
We could definitely do that.
You got one last thing for anyone before we sign off here?
One last thing, man. You put me on the spot.
As I always do.
Yeah, I don't think I do. Not today. Actually, get some rest. Get some good sleep. That's my thing of the day.
Man, I think before our next show, Royce, let's work on your sign off, okay? And with that exciting piece of advice from the talented Mr. Royce, we will bid you adieu. Thank you for listening, and we will be back again soon. We promise. Thanks again for listening, guys.
Thanks, everyone.